Hello, welcome once again to Pale Blooms and Beyond. Thank you for joining us today. If you do like the programming you see here, the musicians and artists that I visit with, please be sure and hit the like button below and also subscribe to the channel. Manny Lee is an English musician who was the bassist in the UK indie band, the Waltones. The band was originally made up of members Mark Collins, guitar, James Knox, vocals, harmonica, Alex Fyans, drums, and Manny on bass and background vocals. The band formed in 1984 and released one album and several singles, and would see a name change to Candlestick Park a year before disbanding in 1991. In 2007, Cherry Red Records released a CD retrospective of the band's output. During the late 80s, a few of the Waltones tracks would crop up on various artist compilations. In 2017, the band reformed and played a show at the Deaf Institute and played live gigs in 2018 and 2019. And the band is still semi-active to this date. Today, Manny is also writing, recording his own songs and tracks for the Waltones. Well, welcome, Manny.
Hi.
Thank you for being here. Take us back to the beginning. Where were you born?
Where was I born? I was born in Manchester. Yeah, we're all born in Manchester. I was born in a part of Manchester called Stretford, just in the shadow of the Manchester United soccer ground, football ground, 1965. So we're all Mancunians.
Do you recall your early childhood growing up?
Do I recall it?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were, a very, very happy childhood in a very nice, leafy suburb of Manchester, a strange area full of strange characters, old Victorian houses, mature trees. It was once a very rich area. By the time I popped up, it was not so salubrious. Is that a word? It's an area called Whalley Range, which was made famous by Morrissey in one of his lyrics, I think. What do we get for our trouble and pain? Just a rented room in Whalley Range, I think he said.
Yes.
Because it was. I mean, he was right. It was full of these great big Victorian houses that had become, a lot of them had become apartments, bed sits, full of strange, interesting characters, but no, a very happy place to live. Climbing trees, 5 brothers and sisters, mum and dad. Yeah.
Well, do you recall early on hearing music in the household?
Oh my God, yeah. My dad was a head teacher, and he seemed to bring home pianos, much to my mother's. No, I wouldn't say annoyance, but another piano. We had a very big old house, very big cold old house, and every room seems to have a piano in it.
Yeah.
So there was always, my mum and dad met in a choir.
Oh,
so there was always music, and the songs that pop in my head are Alexander's Ragtime Band, this kind of stuff that my dad, and his opera. He loved his 78s, his opera. And mum was, even though she was in her 40s by then, was really into Dylan and the Beatles. So Sergeant Pepper, Simon and Garfunkel, Sounds of Silence. Those are the kind of things. And then as we got a bit older into the early 70s, my brothers and sisters, were playing all sorts of stuff. It was constant. So one of my sisters would be playing the old soul stuff, the Spinners, and then the Slade, and Bowie, T-Rex, all that stuff. And my dad would be always shouting, turn that racket down, blah, blah, blah. He liked it, really. And my brother would be listening to a lot of heavy rock, Deep Purple, Led Zepp. So yeah, really, very lucky, very lucky.
Yes, a lot of influences. You mentioned your siblings. Are they older, younger?
They're all older. You wouldn't believe it by looking at me, but I'm the youngest. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can imagine how old the oldest looks. No, actually, I shouldn't say that.
We won't go there.
No. So I was the baby. Very lucky. Yeah. So I was influenced by my sisters and brothers' music, and that remains to this day. I still listen to Dexys and stuff that my brother was listening to.
Would they buy singles and albums?
Yeah, singles. Pops into my things like strange stuff like "Never Rains in California" by Hammond. Is it?
Yes, Albert Hammond.
Albert Hammond. This kind of stuff. Because we didn't have much money, so he's always playing the same singles. "She Loves You" by the Beatles, which was and Sergeant Pepper, which was absolutely central to my early childhood.
Yes. Yeah. You mentioned the Spinners.
Yeah.
I'll be around that song, and the guitar at the intro of it, the beginning of it is great. I mean,
All that stuff.
yeah,
Now,
yeah,
my older sister's into the kind of more American, the soul stuff.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
very cool, very cool.
yes, yes. Well, what was the bass the first instrument you learned to play?
The bass, well, no, I played piano,
Okay.
and we all played piano. Mum and Dad encouraged us to play piano, so we all had lessons. And I still play piano. I mean, I make a living out of playing piano now, so that's remained with me. So piano was my first and enduring love, really. If I'm honest, the keyboard.
Yeah.
If we had to make a hierarchy, for me it would be just Pip at the top there. But Mark took up the guitar, so I said, right, I'll be the bass player. It's as simple as literally that conversation. Like, you're going to play guitar, I'll play the bass, and that was it.
All right, all right.
That was a good decision. I love playing the bass. I loved it.
Yes, yes. I was going to ask you, well, playing the piano, would you guys have like family get-togethers around the piano?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they'd have parties, you can imagine 1970s, a lot of smoke, a lot of ale. Yeah, the piano. It sounds a bit like Paul McCartney's
I
chant.
was going to say, I just thought of that.
With the piano going, but it was less McCartney. I think it was more the working class pub scene.
Okay.
I have to be honest. I'd love to pretend that I was in the working class scene, but it's more, people playing Chopin, and they will play some of the more popular tunes, but it was a bit,
Yes.
which, nothing wrong with that. It was good. I wish they had played more of the old, what we call pub songs. The thing with the hands going.
Right.
Yeah. The McCartney used a lot of Lady Madonna and that kind of stuff. That kind of.
Right. Almost like honky tonk type.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, on a slightly out of tune piano.
Yeah.
We had that. We had the slightly out of tune piano. But we had a guy who came out, a Polish guy, and he was actually, sadly, he was a refugee from Nazi Germany, and he was deaf. I think he'd been tortured. This interview's gone dark all of a sudden, and he was the piano tuner, so he would come round, and everyone used the same guy. I don't know. This is just all coming in. He wore this helmet on his bike, and everyone would laugh at him because no one wore helmets on bikes.
Yeah,
he'd wear this motorcycle helmet on his push bike. And he was a lovely guy, and he'd go on everyone's piano because there's loads of pianos in Wally Range. So he probably made a good living, but those are the kind of characters I'm talking about earlier in the area where I lived.
Right.
Again, very rich for me. Not financially rich, but culturally rich.
No, culturally absorbing all that.
You do though, don't you? You do. You don't realize it, but you do.
Yeah, it does. It becomes a part of you,
Yeah.
Just like the music. Well, can you remember the first single or album that you bought yourself?
I bought the first single I bought was "Roll Away the Stones" by Mott the Hoople. Do you remember that one?
Yes, I do.
Won't you roll away the star? I was listening to them the other day. Yeah, again, still with me.
Right.
Yeah, that was the first single.
I liked a lot of the early Mott the Hoople.
Yeah.
It's
Brilliant.
Better, music. I like all of it, and then Ian Hunter is solo, but I like that early stuff.
Yeah. To me, it was pop music. It was just good pop. I didn't think of whether it was cool or not. I was never that bothered about that kind of stuff. It was whether I just had a good tune. Right. And again, that remains with me to this day.
Yeah. Well, how about the first live show or concert that you attended?
Well, that's also, I think, pretty cool. Well, people may disagree, but we went to see me and James, actually, the singer. We went to see Dexy's Midnight Runners in Ashton, so not far away from the legendary Witchwood club in Ashton-under-Lyne. It's about 10 miles east of here.
Okay.
We went to see Dexy's on their Tour tour, so that's the Come On Eileen. So their most successful period, really.
Yes.
And it's like an old theatre, and that was amazing. I mean, what a first gig.
So pretty close to the Witchwood,
just around the corner,
That's where I saw Mark and Camille. Yeah,
that's right. I remember you saying,
Yeah.
I played a few gigs there as well, but that was much later on.
Yeah. We were, I don't remember what part. It was not a really safe part because it was cheap, the hotel we got when we were there. And I remember walking around, I was taking pictures, right? And a policeman came up to me and he said, you may want to go back home. This is not a real safe area. Yeah, I
Wow.
remember that. And I didn't see there. Nobody was outside. It was just like,
Was this in Ashton itself or in Manchester?
it may have been. It may have been, but it was a
Yeah.
very, very affordable for us, so
Yeah.
not a real good area. But yeah, he said, and I finally talked him into taking a picture of himself. He didn't want to at first, but yeah, he finally gave in. But I do remember that.
Well,
Yeah.
Manchester's a city like any other. It has its problems and has its,
And I've heard that it's greatly improved since that was 2000 that I was there. So
it's changed hugely since then. Really, yeah. There's been a lot of investment. The centre, you wouldn't recognise it. They call it Manhattan these days because it's
do they?
These enormous glass buildings have appeared all over the place. But down on the ground, it's improved hugely. There's the new Northern Quarter, loads of great venues, restaurants, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Still got a rough edge to it, which is really good, I think.
Yeah, it's
a city at the end of the day, and I like that. It's not become too. Familiar with the word bougie? It's not become too.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean bits of it have, but I like that's Manchester. That's a northern industrial city,
As long as it keeps its edge, like you said.
It's definitely kept its edge, and long may that continue. I think, really, not that I'm glorifying poverty or anything, but I like a city to have an edge,
No. We'll talk about the music scene. I know it was bustling around you as a teenager.
Wow, yeah. I mean, when I was a teenager, you had the bands like Joy Division, New Order, later on the Smiths, and then some of the punk bands, Buzzcocks, Slaughter and the Dogs. Also, yeah. So it was always, really thriving scene.
Was Magazine Manchester?
Magazine, yeah, came out of Buzzcocks. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
But even before that, you're talking about going back to the '60s, the Hollies and the 10cc and Freddie and the Dreamers and all these. So it's had a long. I mean, perhaps in the shadow of Liverpool a little bit, which is fair enough.
I was going to say, yeah, they were rivaled, but I think it rivaled Liverpool. I think for bands.
I think in some periods, yeah. Which is good. It's a bit of healthy competition. Obviously the Beatles kind of overshadow everybody, but they're an exception, aren't they? Really?
Yes, they are. They always will be.
Yeah.
Well, how about your first band prior to the Waltones? Were you in a band?
No. We formed the Waltones out of thin air, basically.
Okay.
Me and Mark literally went to the same music shop together. Our mums were very kind and took us and bought our first guitars together at a place called Mamalok in central Manchester, which sadly no longer there. Great music store. Bought the guitars and then just started playing, doing what everyone does, playing covers, just learning how to play.
Yeah.
Really. And James was a friend of ours at school. And he was really into soul and stuff, heavily into soul, and Elvis Costello and some of the new wave stuff, XTC, this kind of stuff. So again, there's all sorts of stuff feeding in there. Me and Mark were more into the more jangly, the Byrds, the Beatles, and so we just formed a band. And then Alex literally had an armchair that he practiced on because we didn't have a kit. So he pretended that the armchair was the drums, with a plastic bag on the arm was the hi-hat.
Did he?
I mean, God almighty, I sound like I'm something from the Victorian age, but it worked. And then we bought a kit for him. It turned out he was a good drummer, and that was it. We just said, right, what we called, right, Waltones, and that's it. Yeah,
right. You got to start somewhere. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like that. Yeah. Really. And so we knew nothing at all, really.
Yeah. Did you guys practice quite a bit?
We were always a bit lazy. I'll be honest with you. Well, I mean, Mark of all of us was really into his craft. He did work hard on the guitar because he didn't like school really. So he kind of put his energies more into that, and it paid off for him. He became a very good guitarist. Well, still is a very good guitarist, and so. We worked hard enough though, we worked at developing the songs and, trying to make ourselves better like anybody does and writing some bad stuff and writing some good stuff, I think. Yes. But we just learned as we went along.
Right.
And we had fun.
That's what it's about right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, how about some early live shows that you
Oh,
three?
well, the first show we played was at a place called the Gallery, which is no longer there either. And that came about because we were at a party in Whalley Range where we were brought up, and some guy, Bez, he was called, not Bez from Happy Mondays, another Bez. We were drunkenly talking about bands. He was in a band called the Fire Balloons, and he said, "Oh, we're doing this gig at the Gallery, and we need a support act." And we drunkenly went, "Oh, yeah, we're in a band. We'll do the support for you." Blah blah blah. And we woke up the next morning and said, "Did we agree to do a support act? We got no songs. Well, we got about 2.5 songs, and it was great because it was like, no, we promised this guy we'd do it. Let's do it." And we probably had about a month to get ready, so we just wrote, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 songs sitting on. You can get away with that just as a support act. And,
Yes.
and so that was the first show we did. God, you'd have to talk to the other guys. Really, my memory is terrible. But, and then there was there were pubs and the YMCA's and stuff like this. But all
Okay.
around Manchester, you're lucky if you're in the middle of a big city. You don't have to work too hard to find these things.
Okay.
I guess if you were brought up in the countryside, you've got to make a real effort.
Right.
But we would look, it was literally, I would say, almost, I know it's an overused word, but on our doorstep. So you had, then the boardwalk came along, which I don't know if you're familiar with the boardwalk, where Oasis and all these other Happy Mondays all rehearsed.
Yeah.
That was like a godsend to us.
Was it? Okay.
That was amazing because we got a few shows there.
Yeah. Yeah. How big were the crowds at that time?
Well, by this point, you're talking about maybe 200 people. We've got a manager who was another friend of ours. He was a good manager. Again, he was learning as he went along. He eventually became the manager of In-Spiral Carpets and stuff like this. Did really well. And he was a persuasive guy, Italian, Anglo-Italian guy, gift of the gab, very charming. We used to have his dad was an ice cream man. A lot of Italians in Manchester are ice cream people.
Yeah.
And so we'd turn up for gigs in the ice cream van. Boggiano's, and we'd have all the gear, in the ice cream van, and then we'd pull up the side of the venue. We'd start unloading. We put the song on that you put on to get the kids to buy the ice cream.
Yes.
So we'd turn up, and just as we come around the corner, we put the song on, ding, 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 whatever, and we'd turn up and start passing bass amps out of the hatch,
Yeah, that was a nice.
We weren't taking it too seriously,
But that's a nice.
We weren't.
That's a nice promo idea, though. I mean,
you know what? We should have run with it. We should have developed it.
You should have really.
We should have given away ice creams and stuff. But we could have done. Christ, there's enough ice cream. I never thought of that. Yeah. We didn't have a marketing department.
Oh, okay.
But that's a good memory.
Yeah. Well, when we were there, we got a cabbie, drive us from the airport to the hotel.
Right.
And he was a little bit older,
Yeah.
And he said, "What are you here for?" I said, "To see the Chameleons."
Yeah.
Naturally, he'd never heard of them,
No.
I thought that's funny in the same city. And,
Oh, no.
Yeah. But that was a generation gap too, I'm sure.
Afraid so.
Yeah.
I mean, I talk to the kids at school. I say kids, these teachers, because I'm a teacher. They're 23, and I was there with and I mentioned a band, and they're just looking at me like, "What in the name of God are you talking about? Who are Buzzcocks?"
Yeah.
They've just about heard of the Sex Pistols,
Yeah.
Well, they've heard of the Smiths, but
yeah. Isn't that's strange?
I've turned into the sad old fogey in the staff room. That's okay. It was destiny.
It was. You're right. Well, how did the band come to record on Medium Cool?
My memory, that's a bit sketchy, but we started to do the logical step of trying to get gigs in London. All roads lead to London.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
As it were. So we started to get a few, because our manager was good. So there's a great pub. There was a great pub scene in London, especially North London, particularly. These legendary pubs, upstairs rooms and stuff where you'd play, and the indie band people would be always around checking out. And then the Scallies coming from the north, the Lars and people like that, and playing gigs. And Andy Wake saw us at one venue and just really was into what we were doing.
Yeah.
Andy, I don't know, Again, he was another one who didn't really know what he was doing, but he was a lovely guy. And he was from Manchester originally, but lived in London. So we thought he was really sophisticated. And he had a very good looking girlfriend as well. And, so we were kind of, cool, fantastic. And he'd had a distribution deal through Red Rhino or one of these. We didn't know what a distribution deal was, but it sounded good. It's like, wow, okay, distribution deal, yeah, cool. What's a distribution deal? No idea. And then so we signed. I say signed. I don't think we ever signed anything, but we signed to Medium. Cool, great little label. Yeah, very, very, very cool label. Very, the way it presented itself, its artwork, its aesthetic. It was. And we were at home there. We felt at home. We felt happy.
Right.
It was very supportive. Sorry, excuse me. Sorry.
No, I was going to say it was similar to like Sarah Records.
Exactly.
Nobody ever signed anything really.
No.
It's just they just kind of started recording bands.
Yeah, there's no money. I mean, but we wanted to record at a studio in Eastbourne. He spent decent money, recording demos and singles and the first. Well, say the first album, the only album that was released. Spent anything we wanted, we got really within reason.
Right.
So no, great. We were very, very lucky. Sadly, Andy, who's not with us anymore, but he was just a great guy because he was absolutely passionate about the indie scene.
Yeah. That's what it takes is a passion.
Yeah, and so we were on there with the Raw Herbs and the Corn Dollies and these other bands. I was Kindred Spirits. I was going to mention playing gigs with them.
Yeah, I was going to mention the Corn Dollies.
Now, people like the Bodines as well, who were on Creation, not. Not, so we played quite a few because I'm a good friend still with the drummer from Bodines.
Right.
In fact, he lives just literally around the corner here.
Oh, really? Right.
Oh, yeah. We all live. We all live next door to each other. It's a bit like the Beatles in what's that film when they all walk in four doors? And it's house,
what is that? You're right. Yeah, it is like
yeah. So so
all on that label. Yeah.
All playing, and then this, I'm going off a little bit, but the Bodines released, I think, Therese or something.
Yeah.
Which is just one of my favorite singles. And it's like, shit, we're going to have to do something really good here.
That's one, the Bodines material, at least over here, very hard to find. Very hard to find anything.
Oh, is it?
But yes, it is. Now that, I've got a couple CDs from the Corn Dollies and then I got a best from the Sidleys. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But as far as locating some of that, I've been looking, for years and years.
They were a great band. The problem with them is, and they'd admit this themselves, that they had about 7 or 8 songs, and they struggled to write anymore. But they had these 7 or 8, and they were the quality of the song.
Well, you're right.
Outstanding.
Really.
But when they signed to a bigger label, and they were struggling to write additional material. I'm not sure why. And but they came more of the tradition from the Echo and the Bunnymen kind of influence, the Liverpool end.
You can hear that. You can hear it.
Yeah. Oh man, I can now. I didn't at the time, but when you listen now, that's okay, isn't it? That's
that's right. That's right.
So all these bands were playing together in London, Manchester, then around the UK. You've probably heard guys tell you this. There was basically a network of gigs that you just did. It was the circuit. Little guys, up in strange places like in Barrow and up in these small towns who were just lovers of this kind of music, and so they book us, and sometimes have to pay us out of their own pocket, or so everyone did you can name the places. Bath Moles is a very famous one. Bristol, Western Star Domino Club. I could mention 20 different places, and we all kind of follow each other around the island,
Right.
And that's good because it's a bit like, if you're in an area and one coffee shop opens, another one opens, it brings people in. It created more people become more and more interested because it creates a culture, a subculture.
Yes, a culture there.
And that's good for all of us. So we're all in sort of healthy, friendly competition.
Yes.
But helping each other out, lending each other stuff. We didn't have any money.
Right. There weren't any big egos. Yeah.
No. If any of us had any decent success, they might have done. But no, not at all. We had another band called Laugh, who you may or may not have heard of, who are one of the great lost bands of Manchester. They were way ahead of their time. They were using computers on stage and drum machines and rhythms way before Stone Roses and people like that. They did a song called Paul McCartney that you might want to check out on YouTube.
I'll make a note of that. I'll make a
which
note
is just a cracking song. So yeah, all these bands. We go off to Brighton. Crazy, really. You get your van and go to Brighton. It takes you 5 hours to get there. You play for half an hour above a pub and then come all the way back again. But
right.
You know, you're young. You're having a laugh, aren't you?
Yeah. Right. You're enjoying it, though. You know,
you don't get paid. You might get McDonald's on the way back. And that was about it, really.
Yeah, McDonald's. I have to tell you, when I was there in 2000 again, we did go to a McDonald's, and they had this promotion on about American baseball.
Okay.
Yeah, they had all these pictures in there and everything. They were really promoting that, an awareness, I guess, try to get the people aware about our baseball. Yeah. Anyway, and the young kid, behind the counter had a very strong accent. I mean, you're I understand you perfectly, but this guy had a very strong Mancunian, accent, and I had to have him repeat himself a couple of 2 or 3 times, before I understood what he was actually saying,
Yeah, I have a very soft. We all have kind of soft South Manchester accents, really.
Right. So
he probably talks about like that, you know what I mean? That kind of
it was nasally.
More like
that. It was more like that. But the most difficult for me is the Scottish accent.
Oh man alive! Tell me about it. Yeah.
Yes.
No. We I have an Italian partner, and she cannot understand a word. We were just up in Inverness, and
yeah.
She loves it. She absolutely loves it. But I love it when you hear Edwyn Collins and people speaking, though.
Yes.
And the guys from Orange Juice and all those bands.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of them, talking about everything had started in London. You had to go to London, especially in Scotland before before Postcard. And
how did they do that? 400 miles, Primal Scream people going with Aztec Camera 400 miles to do a gig. I mean, I'm complaining about going 200 miles. They're having to come down from Glasgow.
That was a long way.
I forgot to mention, sort of taking one step back, sorry, Greg.
Sure.
I must mention that Orange Juice were a huge influence on us as well. We were, me and Mark particularly, and Alex were obsessed with Orange Juice.
Oh, yes.
Still am.
Yes.
I mustn't let that one pass because that's important.
Oh, yes. That's part of my record collection as well.
When I saw Edwyn Collins at the boardwalk, I was just, and he came back. I couldn't speak to him. It's like,
you're like that, right?
And at the time, I'm just a 22-year-old spotty kid. And he's probably only about 26 or 27.
Yes.
To me, he's this god. Well, he is.
Did you see my interview with Malcolm?
I saw a bit of his interview with you. Yeah.
I had.
He's a cool guy.
Yes, he is. He was a very nice guy.
He seemed very modest, very grounded. He played with Aztec Camera and stuff, didn't he? And he's a great guitarist.
Oh, he is.
I was watching some live stuff of him playing with Aztec Camera, and he's like a session player. I was quite surprised.
Yeah.
Because Orange Juice are a bit kind of that ramshackle thing, which is cool. But he was like, oh yeah, this guy really can play.
Yes.
I remember the back of the Texas Fever.
Oh yeah.
And there's a picture of him. I always remember Malcolm. I had a bit of a man crush on him because he just looks so. They're all cool, obviously, but Malcolm Moss just looks. He has his hands like this, and I thought, who's that? He's cool. I don't know. These things stick in your head.
They do.
Yeah. So I was really chuffed when I saw that you interviewed him. So I watched quite a lot of that interview. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. You would do that.
Yeah.
Well, going back to the the early singles, I still like the debut Downhill. I still like that one.
Yeah, I mean, again, go on. Sorry, Greg.
No. I was just going to say I like the energy in it, and especially the harmonica.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. James didn't play anything. He struggled a little bit. He plays good now, but he struggled to play the guitar and stuff. So he just played the harmonica, and he's still really good at that. We meet once a month and do an evening at a local pub where we all play. Me, James, and a few other people, and he plays the harmonica, and the whole pub just turned around. Wow. Yeah. And he still, he improvises. So we'll do some country song, some old Merle Haggard song or something, and he'll just start. So I'm glad to hear you say that. And there is an energy, a youthful energy.
Yes.
That you just can't reproduce anymore. You try, but you're thinking, my God, that's going at about 120 BPM or something. It's like, what the? I mean, isn't it's what I like about that, so I always wrote the chorus, so I just come up with some simple chorus, like, I run to a house like it's all downhill. That's a silly little throwaway line.
Yeah.
But it's James that thinks differently, and he come up with some really cool lyrics. Wipe, the first line of that is "Wipe the gravy off my jumper." I mean, I wouldn't in a million years have come up with a line like that, because James is a bit of a funny fish, really, in that way, and I mean that in a loving way, Yeah. But so he writes his lyrics that are just like a lot of people, they're just off there that no one else could come up with, and I always really, really admired that about him. I was a bit jealous of him, of the fact he could do that.
Come up with those. Yeah.
Wipe the gravy off my jumper. I'm the victim of a conspiracy. It's not my fault that I'm drooling. My body is ganging upon me. That's good.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Well, I still think that's my favorite Waltones track.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it just got everything, that I like.
Yeah.
And the song,
I think it's our Please Please Me. It's our scratchy mouth organ. Basically one take, I think, really.
Oh, was it?
Like Poppy wasn't, but he wasn't much more. It was recorded in a place called Out of the Blue, which was a little studio in a rundown mill in the centre of Manchester, where everyone recorded Happy Mondays. All the, we recorded there.
You did that in like one take?
Well, we did a lot. It probably took about 2 hours to do the whole thing. Yeah, we didn't have any money.
Yeah.
So Nick, who's he lives in LA now. The Nick, who's the engineer there, he did us a deal, So we knocked that one out in no time. But that's probably why it's so energetic. Like, again, keep mentioning the Beatles, but that's what gives it its energy. Like, shit, we've got to get this thing done.
Yeah,
and let's do it. So you rehearse the shit out of it, and then you get in there. Time is money,
right?
Yeah, and then just a couple of overdubs, I suppose.
Yeah, a little bit of those thrown in. Well, the song did chart on the UK indie chart.
It did, yeah.
So,
which to us was just like we made it,
Yeah, you got some recognition there.
Yeah, we did. Which was really nice, seeing our faces in the NME for the first time and stuff. Because your ambitions, we weren't Elton John. We weren't expecting. We didn't want to get right up there. It was just to get to that rung. That's the first thing you want to do, and we did. So that was nice. It's nice. It's just nice to go and play a gig, isn't it? And you're playing a song and you can see people at the front mouthing the words back at you. I'm sure many people have said that to you. It doesn't matter whether there's only 10 people in the audience.
Right.
If one person is mouthing the words that you've written back at you, that's a great feat. I don't mean that in an ego way. I mean it in the sense that it means something to them. It's meant so much to them. They learned the lyric.
They learned the lyrics. You made that connection with that.
Yeah, it made a connection with them, and I hope it brought some joy for them, because basically at the end of the day, that's what it's about.
There you go.
I know that sounds terribly corny, but there you go.
No. Well, for me, I tell different ones I talk to that I think music is the highest art form. It really. I think you musicians probably agree with that. That it's just something about that.
Yeah. The
spiritual, the soulfulness of it. Touching you right in here and just.
I mean, I teach music now to young children. I'm in an incredibly privileged position. And I basically say that to them. To me, the two things, literature and music.
And literature too.
But music, you're probably right. I think music, if I had to choose one, and I listened and I played for the kids. I'm very lucky I can play. I'll play Beethoven for 1 minute, Philip Glass the next.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. I'll play them anything.
Right. They absorb that, like a sponge.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, I got you a little bit of momentum with Downhill. The follow-up single, She Looks Right Through Me, also charted.
Yeah, that was probably our most successful song. That was written as a B-side for a song called, I think it was Special 20. The boys might correct me on that. We had a song called Special 20, which is named after James's mouth organ, the Hohner Special 20. And maybe the first band ever to write a song in homage of the mouth organ. And that was a good song, but then we thought we need a B-side. So we popped into a really run-down studio in an area called Hume in Manchester and recorded She Looks Right Through Me. And we kind of all looked at each other and went, yeah, that's actually the better song here. So then we went to Out of the Blue, which was the other studio as mentioned earlier, and recorded that.
Okay.
And by that time, we were getting a bit yeah, you develop quickly at that age, don't you? You learn quickly.
Yeah.
And I wrote that one. I wrote the lyric and the music on that one.
Okay.
So that's why the lyric is a little bit more straightforward. Really, it's not.
Yeah.
There's not that kind of slight eccentricity. Again, I mean that in
Like
a loving way. It's just quite straightforward. Play on words. She's driving me right up the wall, halfway around the ceiling. I like just little gags like that. Yeah. We were very proud of that one. But that was very influenced by that time by people like the Byrds and the Hollies as well. I was listening to a lot. I was listening to the Hollies because everyone thought they were a joke band, and I'm a bit of a contrary person. So I thought, right,
there you go.
everyone thinks the Hollies are terrible. Which in some ways they were, but in some ways they were.
Yeah.
I thought they were great.
Yeah, I'm rebellious myself.
Yeah, good.
I'll do that.
Yeah, if someone doesn't like it, I like it.
You're right.
It's a bit like thinking about Pete Shelley going back to the Buzzcocks, and my sister was a punk, and and everyone would have the big hair and the shave, and Pete Shelley, just a pure contrarian, would do the opposite. He would wear like a jacket and slacks and leather shoes, complete square.
Yes, he
said, "Well, you're doing that. I'm doing the opposite." And I've always had a begrudging. I've always admired that kind of.
Yeah.
So listen to the Hollies a lot, especially a couple of albums in the middle, Evolution, and another one of these kind of psychedelic things they did.
Right. How about the Searchers?
I don't know much. Did they do Needles and Pins, or was that?
Yeah, that was one of their.
And that's very sort of birdsy, isn't it? That.
Yes, it is. They're
the 12-string
thing
going. Yeah, we had that at home. Needles and Pins.
Yeah.
Another one is Silence is Golden. I'm not sure is one of theirs. Anyway, could be. They were big, weren't they? They were a successful band.
Yeah, they were good harmonies, and like you said, with the dangly guitar, so that kind of
I wish I'd listened more to the Beach Boys. I mean, now because as I got older, I started listening to the Beach Boys more, and I thought, that should have been my spring group. That's where because I'm a bit obsessed with early 70s Beach Boys now.
Right, exactly. Yeah, well, I was kind of late getting into the Beatles. It was one of those kind of bands when they were so hugely popular. It was like, I don't think. That kind of thing. The Stones were the same way. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna really, But then later on, as I started to come around, I was like, okay, I see validity here. I definitely, it's, the quality is definitely there. Well, the third single, "Spell It Out," released in July '88, reached number 20 on the UK indie singles chart. Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
it did pretty well. Yeah, Spell It Out.
Yeah, I was always. That was again you can hear it's very sort of influenced by that '60s kind of chiming stuff. None of us were very, very, very happy with the recording of that. Really, it's a great live track. It's my favourite, one of my 2 or 3 favourite songs to play live, but never quite got it in the studio. Sometimes you just can't nail it. You're saying about Downhill having this energy, which you did. Spell It Out didn't.
It didn't. Yeah,
just didn't quite get it right, and I'm a bit disappointed. By that. If I was producing it now, it'd have a lot more harmony. It'd be bigger. It'd be faster. But there you go. You can't change that.
No. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Well. I also want to know, before I mention other songs, the full length album "Deepest" came out in 1989.
Yeah.
Yes. What are your memories of recording that and how it came out?
We recorded it down in Eastbourne on the south coast. I think we did it in 2 or 3 sessions with engineered by Nick Garside from Manchester, the guy who lives in LA now. We got Clint Boone on keyboard, Clint from In Spiral Carpets.
Yes.
So he played the keyboard on there. And we had a blast, as you Americans would say. We, maybe you don't anymore, I don't know. Young lads down in Eastbourne having a good time. Yeah. I mean, the Achilles heel is always that you couldn't think of, when could we get down the pub?
Yeah.
We didn't have a McCartney maybe in the group saying, no, come on.
Yeah. Right.
Or to be more fair, a producer. We really could have done with a producer. But we did a pretty good fist of it. And there's a few good songs on there that I'm very proud of. Rainfall. I can't remember some of the other ones.
Was Smile on there?
Smile, yeah, that
That's
turned out good. That
yeah, I
had an
like.
energy to it, which I thought.
Yeah, it does. I like that one. I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
That's another of James's kind of slightly eccentric lyrics. So by that point, he was writing more and more of the lyrics. I was happy to kind of, because I did recognise that his lyrics were more interesting than mine, and to allow, say happy to let him know. He didn't need my permission, but his lyrics just became more and more the way it was done, and they're great. So there's some great lyrics on there, some great songs.
Yeah,
I'm really, really proud of that album.
yeah. Well, what about the how did the album fare with fans and critics?
Yeah, really well. I mean, the critics, it's not me. Maybe I shouldn't blame them. Maybe responsibility myself. Fans loved it. Fans loved it. Yeah, we played the gigs. They were always screaming for all the songs off the album. We never played. I don't know if you know Rainfall. That's in 3/4 time.
Okay.
And we just weren't very good at doing it. So we never said, "Oh, play Rainfall." Oh no, we can't be bothered. What we're actually saying is we can't play that. We do play it now. We did play it.
Yeah.
We're better now, so we can make a decent hash of it.
Now you can. Okay.
Yeah. Now that we're nearly 60, we should be able to play in 3/4 time. Really.
Right. Sometimes it's a lifelong process, right?
Yeah. But I can't remember much about the album, but making it. But I just remember enjoying it, writing it. Trying to be getting better and better very quickly at arrangement and stuff, and learning it ourselves. Again, if we just had a guy or a woman just 10 years older than us saying, listen, you might drop that verse down there, bring this, what about a bigger, blah, blah, blah. Just these little tweaks that good producers can do. Right. But again, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Good album. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. You are a part of music history now,
Yeah,
so,
well, exactly.
It's there. I ask a lot of musicians, like, you ever want to go back and you didn't think that song was quite right, you want to redo it? Most of them say no, it was of its time. So I don't ever go back and
no. What I've tried to do is now and again download maybe one of the songs onto Cubase and then add a few more harmonies, and it never works.
Yeah, it doesn't.
You think, spell it out. I've done it with that. I put it on there. I've added, like, it's turned into this big, and it's like, no, actually, it doesn't work.
Yeah. Right.
Why? I don't know. It just doesn't.
Right. It was of its time.
It's of its time. Yeah.
It is. Well, in August, you guys did a John Peel show.
Yeah, we did John Peel session.
Yes.
Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, for us again, because these are the things we'd only heard about. We didn't think we'd get to this point, and to go to Maida Vale, that legendary studio where all the bands had played, from the Stones, the Kinks, everybody, Led Zeppelin, all recorded there. But the BBC treated that place, God almighty, talk about public money being wasted. I'm going to get political now. No.
Okay.
Don't worry, I love the BBC. But they had this, state-of-the-art 48-track console, all automated, blah, blah, blah. The guy's producing it, some old hippie, great guy, using it as an ashtray, basically. But it was really good. I loved what we did on there, because he just cranked everything up. He said, nah, come on, let's put some bit more distortion on there. Play that louder. And if you listen to it, I don't know if you've heard or if it's available anywhere. Oh, it is. It's on YouTube, I think.
Yeah.
It is really dirty. It's almost garagey.
Yeah. I was going to say, I like Bold. I like Bold.
Is Bold on there? Yeah.
Yes. That was from that.
Okay.
From that session. Yes.
Yeah, that's really heavy, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And actually, we were sort of seen as these clean cut, obviously stunningly handsome young men, which we were, which we still are. And we thought, that's really cool. Yeah. So it does sometimes just take someone, this old guy made of it, and go, nah, come on, let's make it a bit dirtier. Let's grunge this up a bit.
Right.
And the results, I absolutely love it. Yeah, I'd forgotten Bold was on there. Thank you. Yeah. That's about washing powder, isn't it? That was the lyric on there.
Okay.
It was Bold was a washing powder, the most successful one, and it used to have this advert that would say, Bold will make your clothes a bluey white you'll like. And I thought, that's that could be a lyric. And so we just ran with this stupid joke about, take a look at my heart. It's a It's the blue you white you'll like. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
there you
And
go.
so the whole song is actually about washing powder.
Ah, the washing powder.
It's a silly metaphor. Yeah,
Yeah, but it works. It works. Yeah.
I hope so. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what was the Bold? Was that released on any single or anything?
No, I think it might have been on a floppy disk or two, but it was
Okay.
never released as a single.
I couldn't find it. Yeah.
No, and again, thinking about it, it probably could have been. But,
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Well,
that's the one where I persuaded Mark to do a vocal on it because we never did 3-part harmonies. I loved it, and if you listen to the very last, the last chord and the last harmony, Mark's there doing a third harmony, and I felt very. These are the little things that make me happy.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, right. So, come on, Mark, come on, you can do this.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I like hearing those little details like that. You know, so,
yeah. The minutia, the devil's in the detail.
That's right. That's the quote. That's right. Yeah. It is. Well, as mentioned in the intro, during the late '80s, a few tracks would appear on various artist compilations.
Yeah.
Did that help get the band a little more exposure and traction?
It did, yeah, it did. Every time one of these things came out, you get a little bit more exposure. There's 100 more people at your gig.
Yeah,
but there's only so far you can go with it with the indie, as we referred to earlier, that network of labels and venues. It's a small pool.
Yeah.
So it was. We kind of hit the edge of that, really.
Yeah.
You couldn't get much bigger. And when I say bigger, it's not like U2. We kind of, and we just didn't manage to break out of that in the end, but that's okay.
Yeah. Well, why did the band move to Midnight Music?
Midnight took over. They signed all the bands from.
Okay, because I know Corn Dollies were on there too.
That's right. Yeah, so we signed with Midnight. We actually literally did sign a contract with them.
Okay.
Nick Ralph. They were the band that Psychic TV were on there. Genesis P. Orridge. I don't know if you know these people.
Yes. My favorite, one of my favorite bands, Sad Lovers and Giants, was on Midnight.
Oh right. Okay.
Yeah. That's
and we did an album for them, which you may mention. I don't know.
Reinvent the Wheel.
Candlestick Park. Yeah, which I'm really again very proud of that. Never released. Contractual things. Not sure. Recorded that in London, in East London, over a period of 6 months. When I was a student at the time, so we go down, just do it bit by bit. Cost a lot of money. And that was a much bigger production. Yeah,
I remember one of the earlier like Sad Lovers and Giants, Midnight Music, that recorded at Alaska Studios, and I was like, wow, in Alaska, up here in the U.S., and no, that's a studio over there.
Yeah, this place is called Berry Street, and it's just a little studio, but it's great. Yeah. Again, we had a great time. The only problem was a pub literally next door, which never helps. Although actually we were quite restrained, really.
Yeah, yes.
Mark's brother is a professional musician. He was older than us, and he came in and did a lot of keyboard stuff on that. And
So, do you think one day it might be released? Reinvent the Wheel might be on some label.
I think James. I'll probably get into trouble. I think James might have the masters of that.
Okay.
And Midnight doesn't exist anymore. The boss of it has sadly passed away. Maybe we could get it out there.
Yeah.
Maybe we could. It'd probably need cleaning up, but I don't suppose these days it's too difficult to do.
No, I've heard it's not.
Yeah, it would be great. There's certainly some of it. It's surprisingly. Some of the songs are surprisingly sophisticated and big.
Right. You might check with him. See if he has any interest in doing that. There's
we should.
Yeah, that would be nice for fans. As well.
No, I think some people would really like it. There's some great songs on there.
Yeah,
really good songs.
Well, why did Alex leave the band?
I think Alex just had other things going on in his life, so we got Adrian in, and then I saw him yesterday. It's funny. It's a small world.
Oh wow! Okay.
So I saw AD. We call him AD. He came in.
What had Adrian or AD done before? Right.
He hadn't done anything. He was a school friend of my girlfriend at the time. And a friend that he'd been in a class with Alex as well. So Alex recommended him. So he came in and yeah. So he drummed for us for a little while. But this, you're talking really, things had started to dry up at that point. The music scene was changing incredibly quickly in Manchester with the advent of the baggy thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, you live and learn. Suddenly, you kind of washed away with it, really. And suddenly you've got Stone Roses and James and all these other people coming.
Right.
Well, James had been around for years, but all getting onto that bandwagon, as it were. And that the kind of stuff we did became a bit passe very, within months, really. That's okay. Again, that's what happens.
Yeah, it's funny how fast the music scene can change.
Oh, it shifts under your feet. You don't know. You don't know until it's gone.
Right.
But Mark, luckily, then was able to get the guitar job with the Charlatans.
Yes.
And they were kind of part of that scene. So and that was great that he did that. He's still plugging away with the Charlatans now. So
that whole Manchester. Yeah. The band was rechristened Candlestick Park.
That's right.
Did someone have an affinity for San Francisco, or where?
I think it's because it's the place where the Beatles did their last gig. I don't even think we knew the Candlestick Park was in San Francisco. Okay. Although we did find out later. But yeah, it was more the connection. I think it was a half-hearted attempt to kind of reinvent ourselves, but it didn't work out.
Well, there was that one single, "All the Time in the World."
All the Time in the World, yeah.
Not a bad song.
It's a bit too. I mean, probably overproduced, if anything. That one. Okay. Strangely, we've got.
I do like the guitar work in it.
A little bit Mark, different. By this time, is doing some beautiful guitar work. Yeah, really, he developed incredibly quickly as a guitarist.
Right.
So that was cool.
And then he could really showcase with the Charlatans. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well that's why he got the gig with the Charlatans, because our manager knew the Charlatans and they were looking for guitar. So Mark went and did a. And why wouldn't you take that job?
Oh
and
yeah.
I actually went over to the US for a year, so that was the end of it, really.
Right.
So I went to the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, I was there. So that was the end of it, really. Obviously, couldn't really carry on after that.
Okay. Well, how long were you over here?
Just a year, an academic year.
Okay.
Yeah. So
now, was that
still go back.
Was that your first time to the States? Was that your first?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Okay. Was there a little any culture shock at all?
Yeah, a little bit, but you kind of know you don't know a culture until you actually visit and you immerse yourself. I think the British always make a mistake of thinking America's just going to be like a different version of England or Britain because we speak the same language or a similar language. But of course, it's similar. The US is as foreign as France is to us, or Britain is as foreign to the US as in some ways. Well, in some ways we're similar. No, but I loved it. And the band scene in the college towns, a lot of the kids from Chicago are obviously studying down in Champaign-Urbana. Yeah. And there was some the Poster Children and Hot Glue Gun. There was some great bands down there, really great bands.
And college radio was really big.
Yeah, so they had that outlet. And I played with a few of those guys, jammed with them a lot. So that was great fun. To me, being in America, and the good musicians as well. The Americans tended to be really good.
Yeah. Well, Mark, went on to the Charlatans. What did the other members do post Waltones?
Alex just worked. James, same. Me and James. Then I started a country music band called Jackson Sundown in the 90s.
Okay.
Oh no, before that was in a band called the Rain Kings, with John from the Bodines, a couple of guys from originally in Spiral Carpet. Steve, the singer, is now back singing with the Spiral Carpets. They were a good band, the Rain Kings. They're very grungy. James joined the Rain Kings with us. And then I started, late 90s, early noughties, I had a country band. Country rock, really.
Okay.
So we wrote a lot of that stuff. So yeah, we carried on. Alex really didn't do much music wise. It was mainly me, Mark obviously, and me and James.
Yeah. Well, what were you mentioned Merle Haggard earlier?
Yeah.
What were some other country and western artists that were influential that you?
Well, I always like the old style, the old school guys like Merle Haggard and George Jones. And
Yeah.
what was I listening to the other day? A song called Waltz Across Texas. Who's that? Ernest Tubbs, is it?
Okay, or maybe.
Just, just incredible. I mean, I don't get me started on country music, Greg, because
Okay, I won't do that.
I just adore it,
Right.
and I got really into country.
Yes.
But listening to some of the '90s kind of, but you got, is it John Prine, and he's a bit earlier.
Oh, yeah.
But some of the '90s country rock band, Wilco, I suppose, were a bit country.
Okay.
Who else with the really cool country band? The Jayhawks.
Oh yeah, Jayhawks, yes.
Yeah. So a lot of the kind of more country rock stuff.
Okay.
Really. But yeah, I like the old school stuff as well.
I do too.
Merle Haggard. I can't think. Even Dolly Parton. So I just love all that stuff.
In 2007, Cherry Red released the retrospective, the very best. You've got to hand it to them. Did that pretty much drain the vault of all the Waltones material?
Yeah, that was it. That's your lot.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't think it really, had a great impact on them. We weren't gigging. We just did not exist, and there was not much interest at that point in that kind of stuff, because the people who were into kind of the Waltones and all that stuff in the late '80s, by this point, a lot of them have got kids who are, in early youngish, so they've gone off and they're doing their thing, aren't they? They're bringing up the family, it's only later, isn't it, about 2017, 18, when the kids have left home to go to college and they've got a few more quid in their pocket, that suddenly the interest swelled up again. So that came out, I wouldn't say it came out at the wrong time. There's no wrong time for someone to do a retrospective on it. That was great. But it didn't. I don't think it produced a whole lot of interest, really.
Okay.
And the internet was yet to really mature.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, I have to say, Cherry Red's my go-to label.
They're great. It's a great thing.
It is, and they always have, top notch. Liner notes and the pictures, reproduction, all that kind of stuff. I've got so much, from that label. Yeah, it's one of those. Well, like you said,
we owe them a lot.
Yeah, the timing wasn't. It was.
I sound like I'm being ungrateful. Not at all. It's amazing that these guys do this and keep the flame going.
And just when you think they've dried, all the niches they can, they'll find another one.
Oh yeah. I love that enthusiasm. Yeah. Well, passion, it's not an enthusiasm; it's a passion, isn't it?
Yes.
Just an enthusiasm. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It really is. Yeah. Well, who was behind the Reformation in 2017?
That was me and Mark. I think really a drunken conversation at a local bar to say, we should get together. And then I think James had the idea of calling it the 33 and a third year anniversary. Yeah. And then I woke up next day and thought, that's not going to happen. Mark's super busy. And he rang me up and said, so are we doing this or what? Well, yeah, okay, why not? We dipped our toe in and realised there was a lot more interest than we'd anticipated. I was like, I'm a right miserable old sod. I was like, oh, no one's going to be doing. Well, Mark and James and Alex proved me wrong.
Yeah. Well, you don't know. Well, the Deaf Institute, where is that? And
that's in central Manchester. Well, it's in the student area, really, about a mile outside the city centre. It's a fantastic venue.
Okay.
So we chose that as a venue, and then we started rehearsing down the Charlatans Place, which is about 25 miles south of Manchester. So we were able to do it properly. We were able to get in a decent rehearsal space with decent equipment.
Okay.
And spend a lot of time going over, digging. God Almighty, trying to remember those songs. They're not exactly, complicated, but just getting our act together. And then we were playing and thinking, we sound pretty good. Yeah, let's do this.
Yes.
And we kind of recorded ourselves and thought, we're a bit fatter. We're a bit older, but,
right.
What can you do?
You're the same people.
And all the songs are a little slower. Everything's a bit slower. That's okay.
That's all right, too.
Yeah.
Everybody slows down, even the fans,
Exactly.
Yeah.
But by this point, of course, you've got all the guys who are into us, old guys and women into us,
Yeah.
and now in their 50s and really on a huge nostalgia trip. I'm thinking, hang on a minute, this we can make. I mean, I'll be honest with you, we could make a few quid out of this as well. You know,
Right.
I mean, we never made any money before,
Right.
and so we started selling these tickets, and they went in no time. Oh, yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Absolutely sold out. We could have sold out 2 or 3 times. So that was really nice. It was an affirmation, really.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And then you would play again 2018, you guys, and then 2019, you guys got together.
Yeah, we played again at Kendall Calling Festival in Lake District. That's Tim Burgess's. He has a little like a venue there. Tim Burgess and the Charlatans.
Yeah.
Did that. We played the 100 Club, which was wonderful because obviously it's a legendary club on Oxford Street, London, where the Stones and everybody played, and that was very exciting. And we played there with a band called the Chesterfields.
Oh, I like them. Yes.
I must admit, I can't believe I haven't mentioned the Chesterfields. They were one of the bands we played with a lot. Great guys.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And the Loft as well. Another great band.
Oh, another one. Yeah.
Yeah. So we played, the 100 Club. That was exciting. Yeah. Was that the last gig we did? I think it might have been. I can't remember.
Yeah, I like all the bands on Creation too. Yeah, I think you mentioned those earlier too. Yeah.
Did you mention Biff Bang Pow and people?
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah. Some of the early Primal Scream stuff I love.
Oh, yeah.
The Bodines we've mentioned. Yeah, cool. I can't remember. Yeah. But then there's all the other bands that weren't in Creation. The Soup Dragons and the.
Oh, another one.
Yeah. Great stuff.
Yes. Yeah. But when I saw the Deaf Institute, I was reminded of a 70s band. Do you remember Deaf School?
I remember the name.
The name, yeah. They were from Liverpool. They were.
All right.
Yeah. And when I first heard, I thought, are all the members deaf? Is that you know?
They're probably named after one of these old schools. Yeah. You get these old buildings in Manchester. There's one, and it's got it's a beautiful old Victorian building, and it's I don't know what it is now. It's probably apartments, but it's still got the old thing saying Deaf School. And so I'm sure there were many of those in Liverpool. So the guys probably saw it and thought, that's a cool name for a band.
Yeah, that's where they got it. That's where they got it.
I don't know. I suspect that's how they got their name.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Well, it's a good name. Good name for a band.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Tim Burgess. Mark Burgess, Chameleons. Is that a local name? Burgess. Yeah. Well,
no, I don't know. I mean, it's a common name. Burgess comes from Berger, doesn't it? It's like the head of the town, I think.
Just curious, yeah.
It's probably Old English or Germanic. Yeah. Obviously comes from Berg.
Berg, yeah. That's where it originates, yeah.
I'll have to ask some of my German friends as well.
Well, I wanted to mention some of the stuff I heard off of your SoundCloud.
Okay.
The tram ride. Now, that was just taking a ride on the tram, right?
Oh my God, I've forgotten to put that on there.
Yeah.
I think I was just messing around with some digital recording. I was going through a silly phase, it's got the lady announcing some of the stops.
Yes, and announcing the stops. Exactly.
Is there music on that as well?
Yes, just gently guitar.
And
there's also was it called "I Want to Be Married" at that point? Was that what it? Because that was
could have been.
Okay.
That was in there too. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to all this.
Okay, go back and listen to that on your sound. And then Walking in a Straight Line.
Oh yeah. Me, John, and John from the Bodines and James started a little band called Straight Lines as well, which never really got anywhere. The 3-piece, and I wrote a bunch of songs. And I like that song. Yeah. And there's I can't remember. I'd have to go back and listen as well. I've written so much stuff. For myself usually.
Yeah. And then I'll just mention the other ones here. I don't know if you'll remember my ship shall sail.
Oh, my ship shall sail to shore.
Yeah. I'll say that 10 times fast. Yeah.
Yeah, to say it once fast. Never mind 10 times. I've rewritten that as a ballad. Yeah, the piano ballad. I started writing these kind of Elton Johnny things these days.
Right.
Yeah, so I rewrote that one.
I like the piano on that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And Oh no, that is on the air.
On your
side. It is the piano ballad on there, isn't it?
Yes.
I beg your pardon. Yeah.
And then now I don't know because I couldn't find the actual titles, but is it "You Set Me on Fire Again"? You
Set Me on Fire Again. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now
you set me on fire. You set me on fire. Set me on fire again. Not for that one for a while. I got my guitar right here. I feel like picking it up and playing it for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just tinkle away, you know, like any songwriter. So I had this massive burst of creative energy about 6 or 7 years ago, and then during the pandemic,
Yeah.
and then stopped again. Really,
Right.
sometimes it's a bit like a busman's holiday for me because I obviously work with kids. I teach music all day.
Yeah.
I don't really want to do anything when I get home at night, or I
Yeah.
write songs for the kids as well, which is nice, you know. So I write songs for the school kids, you
Yeah.
know, which I really enjoy.
There's an instrumental that followed that.
Yeah.
And is that a banjo? Were you playing a banjo?
Oh yeah, that's it's a ukulele.
Ukulele. Okay.
Yeah, it's called Train of Thought, I think that song.
Okay. Okay. That's
Yeah,
really nice. That's really nice. Yeah.
yeah, I'm really proud of that song.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'd only just bought because I teach ukulele. And I just bought a ukulele and I found this little chord progression and just ran with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I'm really happy with that.
Banjo ukulele have that similar sound. The other one, going back, I don't think it's used that much anymore, but the recorder and the flute, have that similar sound.
Yeah,
the instruments. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
that's
and
right.
then Strange Days. I don't know if it's pronounced.
Strange Days was my one song about the pandemic. Yeah,
Okay.
Strange Days. Yeah, that's another piano-y one, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
The thing is, it's about limitation on piano. I'm not very good at piano, so I can't play fast. So I just play these kind of plonky
Yeah.
things, but that's okay.
Yeah. And
Yeah, wow.
I want to thank you for sending me. I won't bother drying my eyes.
Yeah, well, that might be a Waltones song. Yeah, I was talking to the guys and I sent them a few songs. And that
Yeah.
might be one. I just tried, again, just for my own pleasure, to see if I could kind of reproduce that sound or that jangly 80s sound. And you can't really.
Right.
You can't reproduce yourself
Yeah.
from the 80s.
Yes.
But yeah, I just wanted to go for the big chorus, the jangle. So I did
Yes.
all that on an iPad.
It's
I played everything on it, I think. And then I got James to overdub the lead vocal.
Yeah.
Because it's not a Waltone song without him singing it. So
Right.
I will probably do a few things. I'll probably take a few of those and maybe get them put them through some gizmo and get them a bit cleaner.
Yeah. Well, that
Or
would be
maybe
nice.
even re-record them down at Charlton's place.
Hey, that would be nice. I know.
Yeah, we really like the guys are really into doing that.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that'd be something for fans to look forward to. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to make any money off it, but it'd be nice if people might appreciate it.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
what. Yeah. That's all right. All right,
Okay.
man. Well, can you think of anything else you want to add?
Not at all. No,
Okay.
I just want to say thanks very much for showing interest. It's nice to know that people are still interested in the music.
They are. And I like to dig a little deeper. A lot of the bands, like I say, flew under the radar. You guys flew under the radar.
We were under the radar. It's a nice, polite way of putting it. Yeah, well, that's okay. But what you've done is you've evoked or invoked or whatever it is. Some memories that I had,
Right.
Yeah, sort of popped up, and that's really nice.
Yeah, and just because you didn't make it big time didn't mean that you weren't quality, and maybe with the right chance, the right opportunity.
That's what I tell people. Yeah, we just need. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
But all I know is I've got an immense amount of pleasure from it, and it's been my life. And now I do it as a job, and I pass on what knowledge I think I have to little kids, and they can either listen to me or not, and it's up to them. But I'm hoping that maybe one kid will go, yeah, we have this teacher, Mr. Lee, and he played us this song, Eleanor Rigby or whatever. Because he taught me how to play guitar. And why not?
And then maybe in a few years they start a band up.
Exactly. Well, I say to them, come on. And I know for a fact that some of them have started bands and stuff.
That's good. That's good.
And that is music to my. I mean, excuse the pun, but that really is music to my ears. No, it really is. Can you imagine anything more pleasurable than a kid stopping you in the street and saying, "Oh, Mr. Lee, and we've got a band going now, and I remember all the chords you showed us." So, wow. I mean, what a great thing that is.
Yes, it is. Having that influence, that's right.
I'm very lucky, very lucky.
Yes. Well, I'm glad that you've followed it up, and working with kids like that, sharing that with them. All right. Well, okay. Manny, I appreciate it. Again, thank you so much.
Not at all.
It's been very enjoyable. And
it's been a pleasure, Greg. Yeah.
And I will send you a copy of this probably next week.
Okay.
Next weekend or so. And then you can post it wherever you like to and share it with people.
Yeah, I'll put it up there.
All right.
Okay. Thanks for your time, Greg. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. All the best to you. Okay.
All right. Take care.
All right, Manny.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.